And I think a lot of people miss that concentration, like it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like it's sneaky, right? Because we have to think about like how we earn these, RSUs, ISOs, ESPPs. Like this is the new pension, Scott, right? This is the idea of like, let me dangle this carrot to stay at this company.
Yep.
And we're going to continue to reward your employment, your efforts, so on and so forth with retention. And how do we do that? We're going to keep throwing money at you, right? And so not only do you have what you currently have now, but two things are happening. Chances are, if you do a good job and you get promoted, they're going to give you more, right? And then number two, if the company's doing well and there's an up market occurring, your position, your concentration is continuing to grow and grow and grow. And if we don't
Mm-hmm.
ever stop to look up, all of a sudden, to your point, it's 20, 25, 30, 40% of our overall net worth. And as we continue to be more successful, that number is growing and growing and growing. And so, yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
have to have a plan, both like I mentioned earlier, before, during, and after. And it's, for so many clients, the line in the sand is like, okay, what number are we comfortable with? And we'll dive into that in a moment, because I think as we get closer to that goal, whether that's retirement, a sabbatical, that drastically changes the shorter that number becomes. But then also, like, once we have a plan, how do we get rid of it? And we also have to say, no new money's coming in. And I think that's a great first place to start, honestly, is once we draw that line in the sand and saying, when I get new money coming
Yeah.
in from a grant, right? Or something that's, what am I going to do with it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all, honestly, I think the easiest point to solve is like, how do we diversify that away? How do we not just take this quote unquote bonus that we just got from our company, not just put it back into our stock?
Yeah. And so what you're getting at, I know exactly what you're saying, but if the listeners at home may not fully get what you're saying, RSUs are essentially a form of bonus. And so when they vest, a portion of it's taken out for taxes, but you get the rest as shares in company stock right away. And to your point, the first thing you can do to start whittling down your position is to not grow your position. So you can choose, some companies will actually allow you to choose to sell all the cash at the moment of vest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So funds get set aside for taxes. You can even, sometimes they'll let you choose what percentage do you want to have put set aside for taxes, which oftentimes people are setting aside 22% when they should set it for 37%. So they're like, what is this tax bill at the end of the year? It's something that we actually just dealt with for a few clients who just joined last year. They're just learning all about this right now. So doing that, to your point, just makes it so we stop in growing the number of shares that we have. And then we can worry about, well, how do we whittle down the other shares?
And on that topic, I'm curious, as we get closer to retirement, what number you're comfortable with, right? Because I think for a lot of the folks that we work with, if we're less than 5 years out, I'm getting really strict to that very, very conservative number where it's like, all right, like that's no fun. Like this thing just appreciated and went on a run for the last 10, 15 years, and it's my best performing asset. And now you're telling me to sell it or whittle it
Yeah.
down. What are you doing? Right. So I'll have you start.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of want to cop
Depends,
out and
right?
just say it depends. When you're getting really close to retirement, it honestly does depend. I know I want to have a fight with you about this, and I'll come up with a number
Yeah.
that I'm going to care about. But here's why I say it depends. If you have, Nick, so much net worth that you're good for the rest of your life, and the
Yeah.
30% that you own in Apple means nothing to you, then I don't care. I'm like, good on
Agreed.
you. If we're
Agreed.
going to have a conversation about, do you want to let this just run and see what happens? Do you understand the potential downsides to this? Hopefully you get all of the upsides. However, if those assets you are depending on to have a successful retirement, I'm going to be all over you to whittle that down and to diversify the majority of it away. And I would personally want to see you owning no more than 5 to 10% of your net worth in any single position. And when you do own it, I'm still going to show you the ramifications of if it goes wrong, because I've seen it go wrong. And people don't ever think it can go wrong when it's your company and you know it and you know everything that's happening in it. And it's great and it's always done great. Our job is to plan for when it doesn't do great. So that'd be
Absolutely.
my answer for that. When you're a young person, if you don't need the money, I'm totally fine with that being a lot larger of a number.